West Virginia Mountaineers have lost not one, not two, but three players to the transfer portal, especially with Jahiem White. There's a lot of people upset. I've heard the word liar thrown around. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss what happened.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking West Virginia Mountaineers football today on this one. And if you'll notice, I'm in a bit of different spot. For you computer gurus out there, maybe one of y'all can tell me, let's get through the opening first, and I'll tell you what happened. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, or Game Time, with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day, the Mountaineers. So obviously, I'm in a bit of a different spot today. This is my good view. No, in all seriousness, though, my PC, I was getting ready to, this is hours ago. I was going to record this hours ago. I should already have this out way long time ago, but I had to go buy a bunch of different stuff. My PC sounded like somebody put a gun in my ear and pulled the trigger twice. Bow! Bow! I mean, it was the loudest noise. I thought I was going to die for a second. Like, I thought it was going to explode on me. I don't know what happened. I would try to turn it back on, but for those of you that have knowledge with PCs, smelled like, you ever had an outlet burnout? That's what it smelled like. It doesn't smell good. About a year-old PC, $2,000. So, yeah, anyways, let's get into the show here. On this one, obviously, we're going to be talking about Jahiem White. Obviously, the portal guys. You know, Hubbard's gone as well. Is that a big deal? Or is Amari coming in right away to be the top guy? Did Jahiem lie about coming back? There are some people circulating some things that he said on social media over the last couple of days. Curious what you guys think about that. You know, did you think that maybe he led people along? I have some thoughts on it, and all that. And then we'll obviously try to talk about the game tomorrow a little bit with Little Rock. Okay, so, and I'm going to do another video here in a bit on Max Trigg. I have to. After everything that happened in the state title game and the way he looks on tape, we're going to definitely be doing a video on that kid as well. All right, let's start where we start at with Jahiem White. Obviously entered the transfer portal, one of three players to enter the transfer portal today. I'm not surprised, in my opinion anyways. You know, if you look at the way this has been trending, he's obviously a Neil Brown guy anyways, or a Chad Scott guy if you want to go that route. You know, I think he's the kind of kid that wants to be guaranteed a spot at this point in his career, and I don't think you have that guarantee at West Virginia. I just don't, especially with Amari Latimer coming in. So it is a tough blow to West Virginia University as the Mountaineers roster continues to face upheaval, and key players are starting to announce their entries into the portal. Jahiem White won't be the last. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cam Vaughn go in. I have no inside knowledge. I haven't been in the weeds today. I've been trying to fix this computer situation. But after the way he was treated on social media, I would be surprised if he came back. Money talks, but there was a lot of people that I feel like went overboard that day. It's just my opinion, but we're on Jahiem White for now. So, you know, he had been hinting at fans with social media posts that he might return, right? He was playing, you know, country roads, and he was talking about he had declarations of loyalty. People were asking him if he would keep his same number. He said, of course. You know, he said, I do it for y'all, you know, and ultimately flipped the script by declaring his departure, leaving a lot of supporters feeling misled. I've seen a lot of people post that today. They felt misled. What seemed like genuine commitment through Instagram, you know, interactions and stuff. Like he was sharing Take Me Home Country Roads, reaffirming his jersey number, built some false hope for his return in this Rich Rod offense. And in my opinion, has made some people upset along the way. So if you don't know exactly what he did, so he did tease a West Virginia return through a couple recent Instagram replies to fans where he posted a self photo with Take Me Home Country Roads as the soundtrack. When he was quizzed on saying he shared a West Virginia jersey pick with an of course, and which is obvious, or OFC, which is shorthand for of course. And then he responded, "I do it for y'all," plus a heart emoji to a loyal follower. So that sparked a lot of fan excitement, which kind of eased some worries for some people over his not only his injury but his potential portal poaching, if you will, and kind of kept hopes high for his explosive play, hopefully next year, right? And then today he shocked some of those people, not necessarily me, by entering the transfer portal on December 8th, 2025, which is today, which kind of contradicts what he said, right? So it does leave him a gap in the offense. 1,820 yards, 14 touchdowns, 27 catches, 260 yards, and 3 scores across 27 games. You know, guys, I'm just going to keep it real with you here. Jahiem White's always been kind of a troll, not in a bad way. I mean, like, he enjoys messing with people. He's always done it. If you've known him to be on Instagram, if you've known him to be on Facebook or anywhere, not Facebook, but X, he's always messed with people. I've seen him do it multiple times. So I'm not surprised in the slightest that he did this. I'm not. So, you know, do I think it's right? I mean, at the end of the day, he could have had a change of heart. So I'm not in his shoes, like, you know, and I mean, it's not really worth asking him. And I mean, there's no guarantee he would respond either. I'll just say this. Jahiem White gave us a couple years of his life. He was injured twice. It's pretty bad both times. It was plainly obvious that he's a power 4 running back and potentially an all-conference player wherever he's at. I think he could help this team, but I don't think he's irreplaceable. That's my opinion. You know, he really got big for this upcoming year and bulked up quite a lot, but I don't think he's an every down player. You know, I do think he's a guy that you can play 2 downs, not necessarily 3. I think you can play him on, you know, either first and third or second and third. I wouldn't make him a 3 down back, in my opinion. So that's just me. But yeah, like Goat Ear says, we have to stop being petty about players leaving. But here's the thing, though. If they just said they were going to stay, I think it's okay for people that are maybe wanting to buy Christmas gifts. Like somebody put, they bought a jersey based on, and you can say this is them being stupid. I get it. I'm not saying that you're wrong necessarily, but somebody did post, man, I just bought a jersey based on his Instagram posts. So you can decide whether or not that's a smart thing for them to do or not. But it is kind of we're right up against Christmas, right? I mean, we're about 2 weeks away. So I do understand that it's probably not a smart purchase because of the portal era and all that. And people are announcing their entries right now and all that. And I'll say this too. If West Virginia really wants him, they could probably keep him, right? There's probably a number out there. I'm guessing West Virginia's happy with who they got in, you know, not only high school ranks, but in the portal. So, you know, I personally will say thank you, Jeene White, for your contributions to West Virginia. I feel like he's been a model teammate. He's never been in any trouble. I feel like he's been a very good player when healthy, one of the best in the country. And he's always represented West Virginia with pride and all that. And he's been through a lot. So, you know, he grew up as from a kid to a man at West Virginia. And you never forget those places. And I hope he's always welcome back at West Virginia. I certainly don't think he deserves to be vilified, even if there is a couple social media posts that may say otherwise. Now, if he put out a statement and said, yeah, I'm definitely coming back, and then flipped it a couple of days later, maybe that would be a little worse. But even then, the offer can, in this day and age, and this is something I've had to learn myself. This is something I've had to learn this week myself. There's a lot of people that got upset with me this week over some things, right? Some things I was in the moment of this, I was totally oblivious to the repercussions of. So we're going to talk about it at a later date because I do want to address it, but now not the time. But so in this day and age, though, things can happen immediately. It's very rare for a thing to be like with Chris Henry Jr. and him say something along the lines of, the money didn't really matter. Now, you can choose whether or not you believe that, but there are reports that say he was offered more to come to West Virginia. Could Ohio State have matched it? Sure. But at the end of the day, I don't think, I think West Virginia had a bigger offer, as maybe did Texas, and he chose to go to the Buckeyes. Point being is there are people out there that it isn't all about the money. As I've told you guys multiple times, Xavier Bosley, whenever he came to West Virginia a couple years ago, chose to come home to West Virginia for less than Kentucky was offering. He chose that. He chose to come to West Virginia and take less than to go to Kentucky and take more by a significant amount. So it does happen. And, I always appreciated Xavier for sharing that with me. It let me know how, his character as a person. And, I'm still sad that he hasn't got to play for West Virginia, but hopefully we don't see him go in because I'm shocked that Xavier Bosley didn't get a chance last year. That's another thing for me that's like, it's got to be one of the top 10 travesties of the year. Like, not to play Xavier Bosley a snap, or if he played a snap, I don't remember it. To me, was one of the worst things. Jeene White wasn't the only person to go in the portal, though. Dior Hubbard also goes in the portal. Not just him. Another player that I consider to have a lot of upside, and Zay Jennings also goes in. Let's discuss their impact a little separately right after the break. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at Game Time. And with Game Time, you guys know, and I know, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since '94. And the 48 teams that are going to come for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. And let's be honest about this. Getting tickets is usually the hardest part. So the Game Time app is clutch, giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging those seats. You see, with Game Time, you can track price drops in real time. You can get alerts when great seats open, and you can buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands. It makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. You can literally see what the pitch looks like or the field looks like from the exact seat before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to the to the World Cup, not College World Cup tickets, with Game Time. Every match, concert, or event with Game Time as well. And download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase with the terms applied. Again, download that app, make an account, and use that code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off, where you can swipe, tap, ticket, go Game Time today, and you'll answer that question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. It's segment 2. Of course, we're going to crack it, do. What you mean? Of course we are. Especially after today when I've been driving all over creation trying to get my computer to work. I had a laptop, but then I couldn't find the charger to it, and no other block would work with it because it didn't have enough amps. So it's just a headache. So somebody could probably plug in a meme of like 40-year-old Paul trying to figure out how to work computers, because my era, we had computer labs, and if you're 40 or older, you know this as well. Or, once you get to a certain age, obviously you didn't have computer labs, but we had computer labs when I was in school, but we just walked by them. Like, we didn't even use them. Like we played like Unreal Tournament on it, like Counter-Strike Source, which is a really old game that's actually still being played. I think it may be updated, but yeah. So yeah, here I've been going around trying to figure this out. Dior Hubbard is also in the transfer portal, and I'm just going to kind of give a little bit of a hot take. I saw a lot that I liked from him this year. Before he got injured, he was a tackle breaking machine. Once he figured it out, he was really good. And I think potentially he's as big a loss as Jahiem White. I think if he'd have came back next year, he'd have had a really chance to be a really good player. But he would. The thing is he's not going to get all the snaps here. He's best to go somewhere else as well, where he can be a number one. He's got a number one potential. I like Dior Hubbard a lot. He'll at least be by committee somewhere. He'll be a really good player. He's not fast, but he is very strong and elusive when he wants to be. He's got great feet. I really commend Dior Hubbard for coming in a hard situation and trying to be an every down back when he wasn't necessarily quite ready for it yet. So really looking forward to seeing where his career goes next and tracking that. Do you guys know and I'm talking about every single player that transferred out from West Virginia this year, only 4 really had any major impact. Well, 5. If you consider Kyle Altuner at Virginia Tech, he had an average year at center for them, but he wasn't great like I thought he would be. Obviously, Tomas Rimac was at guard. He was decent. He wasn't amazing if you look at PFF. Both of their scores were in the 50s. I think Rimac may have been in the low 60s, but they were both hovering on average, if not below average. I was with Rimac, he's going to get better. He's going to get better. But, at the end of the day, he's a kid that I think will be really good someday. But, yeah, outside of them, I mean, you can obviously the kid that went to Concord and had the really great year over there, Dom Collins. I don't count him as much because it was at D3 or D2. But Josiah Trotter and Trey Lathan were really, in my opinion, the only 2 that had major impacts of all the players that left West Virginia this year. So we really cut off a lot of dead weight last year. Would we have been better with Rimac and Altuner? Absolutely, 100%, no doubt about it, without question. But I'm just saying, it wasn't like they were a million times better than what we already had. And maybe that's because they were learning a new system. It could be, but obviously though, Josiah Trotter is an All-American. He's going to be an All-American this coming year. To 18.5 tackles for loss or whatever it was, just insane numbers, almost 100 tackles. Trey Lathan had an incredible year for Kansas, by the way. If I'm him, I'm at the portal. Those guys, Trey Lathan's SEC ready now too, I think. But, outside of those 2 guys, though, West Virginia didn't really lose a whole lot of what I would consider consequential players. And I kind of put these guys in that category. Can I just be honest with you guys about something? From a potential standpoint, and we can argue about it if you want, because he hasn't played a snap yet. I've got Amari Latimer on here on the messaging on today's show for the rundown for a reason. I really believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care to be wrong. I've been wrong before. I've also been right before. We can go down that road. I think Amari Latimer, not only is he the number 1 player for West Virginia this coming year at running back, I think he's going to be hard to beat out no matter who we bring in. Unless we bring in some stud elite D1 power 4 level running back, or unless we bring in some incredibly just gem that we're down from the G5, that's possible. They have to be really good to beat him out. I think Amari Latimer, if I'm Rich Rod, I'm okay with. I got to meet him first and get to know him, and as long as he's got those intangibles on the field, it's not a question. He is probably the most talented running back I've seen West Virginia get since Noel Devine, out of either the portal or through the high school. We don't get guys like we had to fend off Ohio State, Miami. We had to fend off everybody for this kid. And I just want to say, I know everybody's putting stakes down on him and everybody thinks he's going to be good. As long as I don't know enough about him, like I said, intangibly, what his work ethic is and all that, I'm assuming it's good because he's coming to West Virginia. But if Latimer is everything he is on the field, off the field, look out, because he's got a chance after his freshman year to be too expensive to keep. Seriously, like he's the kind of kid that could come in right away and and be a 1,200-yard guy or something crazy. Like I am really high on him, and we need to get another two back or two, obviously, another really good player or two to play with him. But man, that kid's got the potential to be a three down every. He can catch it out of the backfield. There's plays of him on tape. If you go study deep into his tape, he's got a bag. He's got a bag in the slot. He's got a bag at outside wide receiver. He's got two or three moves he can do as a receiver already. He's got a nice little stutter and go. He's got a nice release. He's got a nice little out and in that he does. Like he's got his angle route is filthy that he does. You can tell he's been trained by either a pro back or a pro, guy that used to be a pro back or a really high end D1. You can tell he's been trained to be, he's ready. He's been ready. He's D1 ready, like really D1 ready. So Amari Latimer is going to come in right away and be tough to beat out for that first job, that first spot. And he is such a perfect back for what Rich Rod does. I can't go on and up about him. Would love to interview the kid. I would pay him right now for NIL. I would. I would pay him right now for NIL. So if anybody has a contact and wants to make a few $100, tell him to get a hold of me. I'll bring him on. Would love to have a conversation with the kid because he's got exactly the kind of swag that I love too about him back. He's cocky too. He ain't afraid to tell you about it, which some people like, some people don't. If somebody's really good, I don't care. Like Shadur, how he was in college, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but not the people at Colorado, right? Just like, whenever we had Eric Stevenson, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but not us, right? So it's funny how whenever you got somebody that's like got that kind of attitude, like a Deion Sanders, when they're on your team, you don't care. Going to break. We'll come back, guys, give some final thoughts. The basketball team's going to play tomorrow. Obviously, we got to talk about Zay Jennings for a second. He's transferring out too right after the break. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at Omaha Steaks. With Omaha Steaks, guys, if you don't know, now you know, the holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the move. It's the right now. Go to it. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com, and it gets even better. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off with the code COLLEGE at workout. So, steaks are perfectly aged when they get there, by the way. They're insanely tender, restaurant level or quality at home. You really can't beat that at Walmart. Holiday magic is going to be made easy here. Order by 6 p.m. Eastern time, and it ships literally the same day. So if you order it anytime over the next 12 to 15 hours, you're going to get it potentially in the next day or two. Save big on gourmet gifts and holiday favorites from Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale and for an extra $35 off when you use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details, but that's omahasteaks.com, code COLLEGE. We back. Going back. All right. Obviously, I forgot to mention, somebody mentioned in the comments, I'm sure because I didn't say it, CJ Donaldson as well had a good year. I still don't think he was a consequence to lose. He went there and lost carries. If CJ would have stayed at West Virginia, can you imagine how many carries he'd have got this year? He would have. Now the offensive line wasn't any good, but he would have potentially done something similar to Ty Edwards. We needed a guy like CJ that could break tackles. And of course, CJ didn't get banged up at Ohio State. Maybe that's how you have to use CJ. I don't know. Man, I seen him go out for a pass the other day for them. I still believe CJ's being used wrong. I really do. I mean, he's great on the goal line and he's a good running back. I still think he's better as an H-back tight end type. That's how you unlock CJ Donaldson. If somebody would just do it. Oh, man, I wish somebody would just do it. Frustrating because I think he would be elite there. Go look at his high school tape. He was a tight end in high school, elite receiver. He was – I thought he was going to come here and be like a 6'2" tight end, which they happen. You see him every now and again. 6'2", 6'3" tight ends, they're around. It just didn't happen. Oh, well. Neil changed him running back, which is a good move, but I think tight end would have been better. All right, so Zay Jennings is somebody that, he's a local kid, obviously from West Virginia, is in the portal as well. He played in 22 games over 2 seasons, mostly on special teams, but he did have 38 defensive snaps. Not a ton of production out of him, but Zay Jennings is somebody we all thought, or at least if you follow West Virginia closely, thought was going to be really good at some point in time. It was just a matter of not if, but when. But he did. He unfortunately just didn't work out for whatever reason. Remember, first play of the season was by him on special teams. I don't know why, he didn't get any playing time. I'm not, I wasn't privy to that information, unfortunately. But I do think that he's a kid that will make an impact somewhere. He's got athletic ability. I mean, he was really good during the spring for West Virginia. We heard his name a lot under Neil Brown, and then unfortunately he had to learn an all new defense. He's a Cincinnati kid. I consider him local because it's like from right in the 4-hour. It's that circle that he talked about. I forgot he wasn't from West Virginia. He's still a local though, because it's that 4-hour window close by. Curious where he'll go. Would he be a kind of player that might go to Cincinnati? He's played at Coleraine, which is an elite high school, Winton Woods as well. So we'll see where he ends up. He may end up at Neil Brown's spot as well. I do think Neil, you got to at least make the call to Jahiem and Dior, right? I mean, I think both of those guys. Now, Jahiem is probably going to stay Power 4. I would be surprised if he went to North Texas, although he would be really good there. I mean, if Neil Brown can get that, that's like you're smashing that out of the park. But Jaheim's worth probably too much to get, unless Neil wants to donate some of his own money, which he's got plenty of, right? One other piece of news to get to as well. Obviously, Jake Castile, a big part of the defense, in my opinion, who's been a defensive assistant for West Virginia over the last, since Rich Rod got here, has been hired as the new coach at Glenville State, which is it's Rich Rod probably helped get him this job. Division II, obviously in Glenville. So good promotion for him. I'm proud of him. His first head coaching gig. So he should go to that Mountain East Conference and kick butt, man. They had a national championship. What was it, 3-4 years ago? So, it's a good program. Rich Rod has already been there before, knows what it's like to be there. He's obviously been a few other places. He's in Boise State. He's been around Jacksonville State. He was our Sam linebackers coach. I don't think I wish he could have stuck around, right? Because of his dad. It just feels like a name that should be associated with West Virginia. But, I'm going to wish him the best. I do think he's going to be a good coach. Obviously, to get that job this early, this young, is a big deal. Let's see how old he is. Jake Castile. Let's see. I'm not seeing it. I'm imagining he's probably looking at him. maybe 25, 26. He's 27. No, that's how long his dad. Well, let's see. His so Jeff Castile is 63, I think it said there. It's hard to say. It's not really that big of a deal. I would say Jake's anywhere from 24 to 30, somewhere in that news. So, but yeah, so we'll probably get another coach in, I would imagine, although it's already a really big room. I don't know about other coaching changes. People have been asking me all week. I just don't have a lot of ties to this coaching staff like I did the last one. I had coaches I could call up or text at any time. With the last staff under Neil, this one has been different for me. And that's fine. I mean, it's not like you have to be connected to the program to figure things out, but it is, when it comes to like questions like this, like I have no clue really. I don't. I would love to see, Rick Trickett get a chance to come back and coach O-line with Rich Rod one more time. I would love to see that. I don't think Bicknell is going to lose his job. It looks like at this point. I mean, it could, but that move should be if it was going to be made, it would probably be happening soon because the coaching mill is churning and guys are landing places, and you want to have a shot at the best if you got, unless you already know who you want and he's already coaching still. But, I'm willing to give him another year, but I'm not happy about it. At some point we have to figure out whether or not he's coming back or not and then support it, right? Why do we want to run anybody up? We don't want to run anybody off that may be wanting to play for him, right? Like even the player, like I had a player reach out to me and ask me why I thought he should be fired. And I thought, oh man, players do see this too. And he said he personally felt like he should get another year. I think the only thing most people feel like with Bicknell is, number one, guys like Xavier Bosley didn't even get a chance, really. And number two, you just kept putting in Kima Makaniole. I think there's a lot of us that just don't accept that as the best possible outcome. I don't know what you want to say there, but I've bashed the kid enough. I mean, I hated it every time I had to talk about it. I still do. I don't like to. Who likes to do that? Who likes to sit here and talk crap about people? There are people that do, but not me. I wanted Makaniole to succeed so we could raise him up. That's what I like to do. Anyways, guys, last quick thing. We'll give a minute on the basketball game. I'm still looking at Little Rock. If you look at them on paper, West Virginia should win this game pretty easily, right? Let me get their schedule pulled back up again. For whatever reason, it auto-corrected to baseball, and they probably are better at baseball. Which this game is tomorrow at 7, if you're not sure. Probably be on ESPN Plus again. This is at West Virginia. Would like to see a nice crowd there, but I'm not expecting it. I mean, they haven't been very many good ones. Charleston was elite. So, yeah, I mean, even just over their last – Central Arkansas beat them by 57, 67, 70, almost 40 points, 38 points. That's crazy. Murray State beat them by – this may be the worst team we played this year. Just keeping it real. I know Mercyhurst wasn't great, and a couple other teams weren't great that we played, but this one may take the cake. They're not good at all. What is their record anyways? Looks like they may have 1 or 2 wins on the year. They're 2-7. So, never say never on anything, but West Virginia playing a 2-7 Little Rock team tomorrow, and then you got to transition literally 180 degrees and play Ohio Stank, the Suckeyes, I think it's a neutral site game in Columbus or Cleveland. It's in Rocket Arena. That's right. That's it. I think this is obviously a must win against Little Rock. There's really not a whole lot to break down there. I'll go back and dive in and see who their best players are, and we'll talk about it more depth later. But obviously, you got to figure some things out. You were exposed by Wake Forest as a the turnovers. The secret sauce to this team so far defending us is just either, whether it was, was it? It wasn't. I think it was Xavier. Whether it was Xavier who really, really jumped out on the high ball screen and then popped back, but they made sure to really guard that ball screen over top and then hurry back and help or get back on their guy. Or like you saw with the last game with Wake Forest, how they literally trapped the high ball screen. That has been our kryptonite so far this year. It's such a simple action, high ball screen. Every league does it, right? But when you don't have big guards, or when you have guards that panic in that scenario, it's not good for your offense. I would personally, if that continues to be an issue, I would probably put Eagle Staff maybe as your primary ball handler in those situations. I know it sounds crazy, but he's not bad at dribbling the ball, and he's tall enough to get over the two screens. That's what happened to us against Wake Forest the other night. Was they literally they trapped the ball screen like Bob Huggins used to do. It was random when it would happen with Hugs, though. He wouldn't always do it. He would make you wonder when it was going to happen, and it's like the guy from Rocky when they were just boxing, and then he's like, and then I don't even know what he said. I just remember he goes, and then he really turns it on and starts killing him. That's kind of how Hugs used to do it. Somebody should clip me going, and just play that, nothing but that on X over and over. And that's how Mel Gibson came up with the Passion of the Christ. All right, I got some out of my system. I still have some more in there. I've been waiting to do video all day. I feel like I was going to blow up earlier. Literally, make my computer and explode. Probably was my power supply or something crazy. Cat hair, probably. I'm sure, but anyways, y'all, I appreciate you. As always, we will go ahead and come back and do another video on some things I want to talk about. We got some portal targets to talk about. We've got, Trig, the hero of the championship game, to talk about. He's been offered by West Virginia. His tape's really good. He's only a sophomore, so you can take it with context. But hopefully he gets a bit faster as he ages. But, man, does he have a great arm. For a kid that's in 10th grade, the kid's got a whiz. He can whiz the ball. He can sling it. So Trig's a kid from an arm talent perspective you really get excited about. Now, he does have pictures on his profile of him visiting that 4-letter word that Rich Rod hates that starts with a P. And I hate that. And he said in this post, this is a 10th grade kid, don't get me wrong. So I'm not going to, it's a kid. But he said, love my visit at Pitt, want to keep making relationships or something along those lines. And I'm thinking to myself, no relationships, none. You're not allowed to have any relationships with them. You're from Morgantown, for goodness sake. Oh gosh. All right, guys. I know some of you guys are probably sad over Jahiem. Just wish him the best. This is the day and age we live in. We don't get married to kids like that anymore. As far as falling in love with them for being at our university, I guess I just needed to hear, this is the last thing before we go, but I guess I just needed to hear somebody say this, and you can carry this along with you as well. And I know other people have said it before this. I guess it just never really struck me that gone are the days that people go to play at universities. It just doesn't happen anymore. I guess in my head, I'm thinking, So there must be at least somebody, but it's all coaches now. It's all relationships. It's all I'm going to go play for Rich Rod, or I'm going to go play for Narduzzi, or I'm going to go play for James Franklin, which is kind of sad because it's really our great university that bears our state's name. That's the great part about it, right? It's the people, especially the people. It's us. It's y'all. That's who we wanted to play for, but it's like being in an abusive relationship or something, because it's like the thing we want the most can't happen now. I would go back, even though we're succeeding, it seems like in this new era with our recruiting and with the portal. You heard Tony Caridi talk today, which is what I'm going to do a video about next. Talked about West Virginia is going to wow some people. I think that's going to happen because we're only going to get 12 or 15 guys, so we're going to spend big money. It's going to surprise a lot of people. But I would still, even though we're going to get these great big-time players, I would still take it all back if we could go back to the old ways where kids chose to be at West Virginia for 4 years. You could fall in love with them over 3 or 4 years and root for them like hell, and then hope you can win the national championship by their third or fourth year. But that's not the reality we live in anymore. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys. I'll be back here in just a little bit with another video. You guys mean everything to me. You really do. We'll be back in a little bit with one, like I said. Thanks for making us your first listen. Make sure you check out Locked On Big 12 next. Drake Toll is all over it right now. He's all over the BYU, Notre Dame, all that news going on. I think he's going to be speculating or talking about some news regarding Notre Dame and the Big 12 tomorrow, which would obviously be a game changer if it did happen. I haven't been paying attention to today, so I don't know what kind of legs that has. But, tune into Drake, man. He's good. And we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to cue those country roads. We'll be right back in a bit.